In this video, we're going to look at some basic work with formulae. Formulae is the plural of formula. Let's start off now with a rectangle and we will look at finding a formula for the perimeter. I'm going to put on that this is going to be W, the width of the rectangle, and this is going to be L, the length. We know that if this one is L, this one will be L also, and if this one right here is W, this one will be W. So we can say that the perimeter, which I'm going to call P, is going to be equal to W plus L plus W plus L. So when we're finding the perimeter, we're simply adding up all the side lengths. We would write this now as the perimeter is going to be 2 lots of W plus 2 lots of L. So we're going to have 2 lots of the width plus 2 lots of the length. So let's say now we had that W was going to be equal to 2 units and L was going to be equal to 4 units. We could substitute these values in to find P, which is the perimeter. So we can say that P is going to be equal to 2 lots of W. Generally speaking, we would just put the brackets and have 2 times by 2 plus 2 lots now of the length, which is 4. 2 times by 2 is going to give me now 4. 2 times by 4 is going to give me 8. So we can say now that the perimeter, which is the distance around the outside, is going to be 12 units. We've simply subbed the values we've got, substituted these values into the formula we're given. If we now look at the area of a rectangle, we know that the area is the length times by the width. So I might say that A, the area, is going to be equal to L multiplied by W. We would generally write this now as A is equal to LW. So if you see 2 or more letters next to each other without any signs, it means multiply. So if we look at this one, we know that W, I've chosen to be 2, and L to be equal to 4. We could say in this particular case, we're going to have 4, and I'm going to use the brackets, multiplied by W, which is 2, and that is going to give me now 8, and that will be units squared. So if you want to put on this one 12 units and this one 8 units squared. So we've got 2 examples of formulae. We've substituted values in to find now both the perimeter and the area. In the video we're going to look at substituting into formulae, we're going to look at writing them, and we will also look at some functional questions. So let's start off. We're asked to find the value of Q for each formula using the values given. So let's go ahead, let's just section this off. So what we're being told now is Q is equal to 3x plus 7y. We're told x is 4 and y is 2. All we need to do is substitute these in. So we've got Q is going to be equal to 3 lots of x, well that's 4, so it's just 3 times by 4, plus 7 times by y, which is 2. So I can write this now as 12 plus 14, and that is going to give me 26. So if this was in an exam, I would show now that I'm multiplying 3 by 4 and then add into it 7 multiplied by 2. Remember, if we've got brackets and we have a number next to another, we multiply. If we look at this one, we've got Q squared. When we square a number, we multiply it by itself. We're then going to add now y. So if we go ahead and do that, let's do that one just here. We're going to have Q is going to be equal to, and this time we've got x is 3, so we're going to square 3. We're then going to add now y. If you want to think about this, this is 1 lot of y, and we know that that's 5. 3 squared is 3 times 3, that's going to give me 9. 9 plus 5 will give me 14. So we've got now a value of Q of 14 when we've got 3 for x and y is 5. If we look at this one just here now, what we've got is xy. Xy means x multiplied by y. So all we're going to do is substitute in the values now that we've got of 3 and 5 and find the value of Q. So Q is going to be equal to x, which is 3, multiplied by y, which is 5, plus 4. 3 times by 5 is 15, so we end up now with 15 plus 4. 15 plus 4 is 19, so we can say that Q is equal to 19 when x is 3 and y is 5. Okay, let's look at the next one. We've got Q is equal to 5x minus 2y. So all I'm going to do is simply substitute these in. So I'm going to say now that Q is going to be equal to 5 lots of X, which is going to be 10, minus 2 lots of Y, which is going to be 2. This is going to give me 50. This is going to give me 4, which is going to give me 46. Be very careful here. If we had now that Y was equal to negative 2, so we could write this out, Q would be equal to 5 lots of 10, then we're going to subtract away 2 lots of negative 2. Just be careful. I've just changed this number over to negative to show what would happen. This will still be 50. Now what we have here is negative and negative, so we're going to be adding the 4, which would give me 54. So just be a bit careful. Also here, if x was negative 3, if we square a negative number, we get a positive, so it would give us now the same value. If we had now x and y both negative, we would end up with this being positive, as 2 negatives multiplied give a positive. But if only one of them was negative, we would end up with a negative value for x, y. Okay, let's move on and look at some other questions. The area of a rectangle is found by using the formula A is equal to LW. So that's the length times by the width, as we saw earlier. And the perimeter using P is equal to 2 lots of L plus 2 lots of W. We're asked to find the area and the perimeter if, and then we got a few questions. Let's just look at this perimeter. This perimeter might be written now as 2 lots of L plus W. This is exactly the same as if we multiplied out the brackets, we'd have 2L plus 2W. So if you see it like so, all this is saying is add L and W, so do your brackets first, then multiply by 2. So if we look at the first one, we have now area is equal to the length, which is going to be 4, multiplied by the width, which is 2, and that would now give us 8, and then whatever the units were, squared. If we look now at the perimeter, I will do it both ways. The perimeter is going to be 2L, which is 2 lots of 4, plus 2W, which is 2 lots of 2. That's going to give me 8, plus 4, which is going to be equal now to 12. So we'd say that the perimeter was 12 units. So very similar now to what we were just looking at. All we would do is sub in the values. Let's just look at it this way. If we'd taken that the perimeter was 2 lots of L plus W, then we would have had now 2, 4 plus the 2, 4 plus 2 is 6, 2 lots of 6, and of course we're going to end up with 12 units as before. Let's have a look at some more. The formula V is equal to U plus AT is used to find the final speed. Find V if U is equal to 6, A is equal to 2, and T is equal to 5. So what we have here are 3 known values, U, A, and T, and we need to find V. So V is equal to U, which is going to be 6, plus A, which is 2, multiplied by T. So if we write these in brackets, we can write it like so. So let's go ahead, and we've got V is equal to 6 plus 10. 2 times 5 is 10. So we can say that V is going to be 16. So that might be 16 kilometers an hour, 16 meters per second, or so on and so forth. With all of these questions, we're finding V. That might not always be the case. So we might be given the formula V is equal to U plus AT. We might be told now that U was going to be equal to 2. We might be told that V was going to be equal to 4. And we might be told that A was going to be equal to 3, and we needed to find T. So we needed to find the value of T. We've got 3 known values, so we can simply substitute these in. So V is 4, that's going to be equal to U, which is 2, plus A, which is 3, multiplied by T. So all we need to do is solve this equation for T. We subtract 2 from both sides. 2 is equal to 3T. We divide both sides by 3, so 2 over 3 is equal to T. So don't be shocked if you see now that we don't have the unknown here to find, so it's not a case of just being written out. You might get 3 of the values and find a 4th, which is slightly harder to manipulate. Okay, let's look at some others. We're asked to find a formula for the area of each of the shapes below and find the area for the values given. So this one now, what I'm going to say is the following. We know that the area is going to be the length times by the width. So I can say that the area is going to be A multiplied by B, which we would write as AB. So big A, the area, is equal to little a multiplied by little b. So in this case, we can say now that it's going to be on here 6 multiplied by 10. I'm simply substituting these in, and that would give me now 60, and the units are going to be centimetres squared. So nice and straightforward. If we look at this one, this is a square. So A, the big area, is going to be A multiplied by A, which we would write as A squared. Remember, A squared and 2A are different. 2A is saying that you take one lot of it and add another lot, or you're simply multiplying by 2. When we square a number, we multiply it by itself. So we can say that the area is going to be 3 squared, and the area is going to be 9, and that will be centimetres squared. So the area is A squared. With this one here, we have what we call a composite shape, or you might see these being called compound shapes, composite or compound shapes. So if we look now, what I'm going to say is that the area is going to be this part right here, which is A times A, which is A squared, plus this part here, which is AB. So we can say that the area, the total area, is the square plus the rectangle. Sometimes you might see this factored. We might have A is equal to, A is a common factor, and then we would have A plus B. So if you see it like so, this is exactly the same as if we multiply it out, we have A squared plus AB. So in this particular case, we've got now that A is 2 and B is 8. So using this one right here, I'm going to say now that the area is going to be equal to A squared, which is 2 squared, plus AB, which is going to be 2 times by 8. 2 squared is going to give me 4. 2 times by 8 is going to give me 16. So we can say now that this is going to be 20, and that will be centimetres squared. So all I've done is simply gone ahead and substituted the values in. With this one right here, let's go ahead and just put this one on. All I would do is cut across here. I would split this now into a rectangle at the top and a rectangle at the bottom. This one would be AB. This one would be CB, or if we did it alphabetically, BC. So we can say that the total area is going to be AB plus BC, or if you like, CB. So we can say that the area is going to be equal to A, which is going to give me now 3, multiplied by B, which is going to give 4, plus B, which is going to give me 4, multiplied by C, which is going to give me 9. So that's 12, that's 36, so we can say that this is going to be 48, and that is going to be centimetres squared. Again, if you wanted, you could factor this. You could write this now as B and then A plus C. That's a different way of writing it, but it means exactly the same. If you put these in, A plus C is going to give us 9 plus 3, which is 12. Then it's 4 times by 12, which is 48. Tickets for a school concert are sold at £3 for adults and £2 for children. In part A, it says if P adults and Q children buy tickets, write a formula for the total value T of the ticket sales. So if we think about this now, T is going to be 3 times, or we should say £3, however many adults we get. So let's write this out, and we'll have now the total cost. It's £3 for every adult, and we've got P adults. Then we're going to have now 2Q, so it's £2 for every child. So for example, if we said that the number of adults, remember P is the number of adults, would be 10, and Q, the number of children, was going to be 5, all we'd have is 3 times by 10 plus 2 times by 5. This now is the number of adults going, so we're going to get £3 for every one of those. This is the number of children that are going, and we're going to have £2 for every one of those. Okay, so in this part we need to find the total value of the ticket sales if P is 50 and Q is 20. We simply need to substitute in. T, the total, is going to give me 3 lots of 50 plus 2 lots of 20. This is how many adults went. This is how many children went. So for every one of these adults they're spending £3, that's going to be 150. The 20 child tickets were £2 each, and that's going to give 40 rather than 24. So we've got now 190. So we would say now that this is going to be £190. So this now is a formula to work out the value of the ticket sales, or if you like, the revenue. Okay, a window cleaner charges a fee of £3 for visiting a house and £2 for every window that he cleans. In part A, we're asked to write down the formula for finding the total cost C when n windows are cleaned. So the bill he's going to charge you, or the cost, is going to be now £3. That is a fixed fee, plus £2 for every window he cleans. So we can say this is going to be 2n plus 3. We can of course write this as 3 plus 2n. So this is the number of windows that he cleans. So for example, if he cleaned no windows, n would be 0, and we'd just get a cost of £3. So if you call him out and say, well actually I don't want any windows done, £3. If n was equal to 1, you had one window cleaned, well quite clearly he would charge £2 for that window plus a 3, which would give us 5. We're simply substituting in the values of n, which is the number of windows, into the formula. So we're asked to find now C, the cost, when n is 8. So it's £2 for every window. There are 8 windows, and we add to that 3. So that's going to be 16 plus 3, which is 19. So we can say that it would cost £19. So that's a nice example. Let's say it went the other way and we had now a cost or a bill. He sent us a bill, this window cleaner, or she sent us a bill now for, and I'm going to write this now, let's go for £31. We want to know how many windows we had cleaned. So all we're going to do is use this formula in reverse. The bill or the cost was 31, so that was equal to 2n plus 3. So what I'm trying to do here is solve this equation to find the number of windows that I had cleaned. So this time we don't have a number, we're trying to find the number given the cost. So with this equation we would subtract 3 from both sides of the equation. 28 is equal to 2n. We would divide both sides by 2 and we could see that n was equal to 14. So we had 14 windows cleaned if the bill was £31. So all I've done is worked that backwards. Okay, let's say we were sent now a bill and the bill come through and it was on here, we'll say that it was £48. So I got a bill in the post. Would I question this bill? So the guy or the woman, whoever is cleaning the windows, has sent me a bill for £48. So let's have a look at this. 48 is going to be equal to 2n plus 3. If I subtract 3 from both sides, that gives me 45 is equal to 2n. If I divide both sides by 2, that's going to give me 22.5 is equal to n. We can't have, well, unless he's charged us for half a window, we can't have half a window cleaned, so we couldn't be charged £48 according to this particular formula. We have to have n to be a whole number, assuming now that he's charging £2 for every window he cleans. So there we go, that's some basic work with formulae. Just simply substitute numbers in or set one up, and in this particular case with a functional question, and go from there. Let's just finish with a couple of more challenging ones. I'm going to say now that x is equal to y squared plus 2 divided by z. And we're going to find the value of x, so we will find now x. So find x when, and we will have y is equal to 2, and we will have z equal to 6. So all we would do is write that x is going to be equal to 2 squared, that's the value of y, plus 2, divided now by z, which is going to be 6. So x is going to be equal to 4 plus 2 divided by 6. And we had x is equal to 6 over 6. So x would be equal to 1. You wouldn't have to show all of this working, but hopefully now this has simplified it for you. Okay, let's now find, we'll find z. So let's just try and find z. So we will say find z when, and we will have x is equal to 2. We will have now y is going to be equal to 4. So if we substitute this in, we've got x. 2 is going to be equal to y squared, which is going to be 4 squared, plus the 2 divided by z. So if we just tidy this up now, we've got 16 plus 2, so we can say that 2 is equal to 16, that's 4 squared, plus the 2, which is 18, divided by z. If you want to think of this one way, 18 divided by what number gives 2? The answer is 9. Or alternatively, we could multiply it both sides by z. 2z would be equal to 18 and divide both sides of the equation by 2. 18 over 2, z is going to be equal to 9. So if you're taking your algebra or your maths on any further, it's always good to get into a habit now of solving equations in a more systematic way rather than just sort of looking for numbers. So that's a brief introduction to using formulae.